We are joined by
Thrilled to be joined
Holt.
by Rosie Holt.
Yes. Hello.
Who's got a book out, right?
Who's got a book out? And here it is.
You've got a book out today.
Why We Were Right by Rosie Holt MP, loyal servant of Boris Liss and Rishi.
And we should clarify, for those who don't know, that you're not an MP, are you, Rosie?
I'm not an MP.
You have not been elected.
No.
But some people
I'm
think
a liar.
you are.
You're pretending.
But that would qualify you to be an MP.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we, to give the folks a taste, those who don't know, to give the folks a taste of what Rosie does.
And those who do, a reminder of how excellent it is.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hear a little clip from a video you did.
Are you worried about this government being seen to be helping the better off more than the poorer people?
Absolutely not. Look, we are not just about benefiting the rich, but benefiting the rich benefits everyone. And let's not forget the rich have more houses to heat and some of us have stables. But look, this term trickle-down economics is something that's been mischaracterised by the left on what our government is doing. We're not trickling down, we are watering a whole garden selectively. If you're watering a garden, do you water everything in it? Some would argue yes, but I would say no. No, you water the lovely flowers and not the weeds. I'm not saying the working class are weeds, but they don't help the flowers grow.
So to explain,
So stupid.
if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll get the visual element to it. But this is you've hacked into a Sky News two-way interview. And who did you displace in that? Do you know?
I can't remember.
No, right.
I can't remember. But usually I take some minister is defending something, and then I just take them out of the footage and put myself in instead.
And these have they've gone viral, and they are so funny. And the reason they're so funny is that they're so bloody believable.
That's
That's the point.
And the book is, I mean, I laughed a lot, but I also found myself slightly sort of unsettled by how proximate it was to what we have to deal with every week. I mean, like phrases like the usual wokey Marxist naysayers and making compassionate threats to the BBC. And that's in the first few pages. But actually, I think that the genius of it is you don't go that far from what they actually do say.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is in the last few years, I feel that the government have said such increasingly ridiculous things.
Yes, exactly.
That, I mean, I have done things where I've put a sketch out and then a politician will say something very similar a day or two later. And you go, is this really satire? Or is it just predicting what they'll say?
Where do you get your inspiration for each clip or the book? Or, I mean, are you using them as a source reference and then building on it, or are you just cribbing from them direct?
I do have a certain degree of sympathy for ministers who are kind of wheeled out on TV and have to defend something that they don't necessarily agree with, but they're having to keep the party line. But it is funny, and so often it looks like they're kind of improvising. So I think that was always my starting point. I mean, it's funny, but also makes me quite quite angry.
And give us a sense, because I mean, it's an art form, right?
Yeah.
Comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the way I just went. Yeah,
it's an art form.
Yes,
it is.
But what's the craft within that? How, when you construct a piece or a monologue for a bit of stand up, how are you working that piece so that it lands well?
I think what's fun about my character is it's always thinking, how do I defend something indefensible? And how would I do that if I've had no time to think about it? Yeah. And go.
So okay, right.
So I'm like, defend not feeding kids. Go now. 2 minutes.
Yeah.
One of my pet theories is that comedy is now becoming as important a vector for truth, making people aware of things as the news used to. So if you take, for instance, Sunak going backwards on the net zero, that's a very difficult idea to get across to people how bad it is. But then you say in the book that what we should do is wait for the planet to at least singe a bit before we take measures. And that nails it. And I think there is this thing about that with a really well crafted bit, which you're a master of, you can actually get purpose of comedy is to make people laugh. You're not activists, but you can actually get across quite interesting ideas.
And I think it's not, because you can't really hope to sort of change people's minds, really. I think people, sometimes you worry that you're preaching to the choir, but certainly I think it can spread awareness to certain issues that maybe people
aren't aware about.
Do you think does satire have the effect we hope it has? I'm thinking, since Jonathan Swift, and you can go forward from there, and you'd like to think that satire is opening up through humour and through this kind of juxtaposition of reality and what people are saying. It's opening up some sort of crack in people's mind. They're going, oh my God, look how awful it actually is.
Yeah.
But I wonder whether they are just laughing and actually it's just seen as entertainment and it's not having any effect. I'll tell you what I'm thinking of specifically is whenever we used to run a political cartoon in a newspaper about an individual, almost always you'd get a phone call the next week saying, from that individual saying, can I buy that cartoon? They love it.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether Julia Hartley-Brewer, for instance, who you brilliantly satirise, whether she's actually loving it,
Yes. Well, that was that awful moment, wasn't there? Who was it Melissa McCarthy in The American, she did a wonderful takedown of an SNL of, I can't remember his name, who was the press.
Sean Spicer.
Yeah, Sean Spicer.
Yeah. Spicy.
And then he turned up.
He turned up.
Pretending to be the character that she'd created. And you could see she was not happy about it at all because, really, I think you've kind of lost, haven't you? If someone's going, I love it.
You remember when Tina Fey did that brilliant Sarah Palin? And then they got Sarah Palin on the show. Yeah. And I saw an interview with Tina Fey saying, afterwards Sarah Palin had said, oh, no, me and Chuck love you. We think you're great. And Tina Fey said, I actually, funnily enough, we're moving this weekend. And Sarah Palin said, I'll get the boys up here to help you. And she thought, this is not what I intended. Yeah. This is unintended consequences. I mean, it's very sweet of her, but, I didn't expect Sarah Palin to be offering to help me move.
Yeah, I think it neutralises the target, doesn't it? If somebody's going...
But I think what's different is that you are satirising a generic kind of conservative that has gone along. Yeah. What's really interesting about bad governments anywhere is they're enablers.
Yes.
And Rosie, the MP, will say anything. The way that you deal with the Liz Truss episode as possibly a fever dream.
I really enjoyed writing that.
That's very funny. I won't spoil it for the readers, but it's brilliantly done that it might not have happened.
Yeah. She was away on holiday at the time. She's not sure.
Also, the journey to the north, I think, was very funny, and the encounter with rugged Andy Burnham. Heathcliff.
I really
the Heathcliff of the north.
I think those two were both my favourite chapters because it was so silly.
And have you had any real life feedback from people who have confused you with the MP, the character you're playing?
In person as opposed to just online?
Yeah.
I went to a comedy club and I was doing my character, and some woman sat there thinking I don't know what she thought MP was doing at Top Secret Comedy Club, but she went, "Go fuck yourself." It was really great.
That's great. What do you think about the Labour Party? Because you have got a challenge now, haven't you? Which
is,
like they're going to come into power, and everything might get a bit dull and boring.
That's why you should vote Tory to save my career.
Vote Tory. Well, also the New European. Honestly, it's so easy doing front pages slagging off the Tories. I'm getting a bit worried about what we're going to say about Starmer, but I'm sure we'll find something.
I know. Who was I listening to? It was someone on the Labour cabinet who was saying. That was arguing that their policies were radical because they weren't.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
He was going, he was going, because that's what we need. Yeah. And that in itself is radical.
Everything's about change. Everything's about change. And the change is that it's going to be stability. There's going to be no change.
People want change, and for that is very little. Yes. And that is a lot.
Far be it from me to impugn Rosie's loyalty to the most successful party in the history of democracy, etc. About to be, I'm not. But you don't think she might be toying with the idea of defecting? I mean, reform. It would be reform or Labour, wouldn't it? It would be. There'd be no.
I think she could go anywhere.
She'd be looking at pictures of Nigel Farage and Keir Starmer and thinking,
And especially if you've got Natalie Elphicke, who's gone to the Labour Party. I think anyone can go now, unless you're Jeremy Corbyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really do hope she has a future, though. I mean, are you?
Am I worried about her?
I mean, is she? I mean, will be here. Straight up, will we see more of her?
I hope so. It's very difficult to say because you kind of
I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And not just because of whether Labour will get in, it's what people's appetite for satire will be. You don't know if that will go down as well. You don't know if people will suddenly go, do you think it'll always be there?
Yes, I think so.
And where people go, leave them alone. They've been here 5 minutes.
I wouldn't worry about that.
They've inherited a castle of feces.
I'm trying to remember what happened when Blair came in. I mean, was that Ben Elton kind of land?
And
the
thick of it,
was,
the thick of it was squarely aimed at.
So you'll find they'll find.
Oh
something.
yeah. I mean,
just might have to be a bit cleverer.
Work a bit harder. They will make us work harder.
But I think before the end of July the 5th. There'll be a series of posts on X from people claiming that this is the most disappointing Labour government, in the history of the party. I mean, there will be, won't there?
No, definitely.
There will be. It's all a betrayal.
I think people are already writing off the Labour government.
Yeah, it's like who do they think they are?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, also the press is sort of dealing with them like they're the government in power already.
Well, there isn't really a government, is there? So I love the line that Rishi tried. He wasn't very good at karaoke, but he tried. Which I thought
that's
was
how I imagine.
Very much chimed with our view over the months of Rishi, isn't it?
He's been quite phenomenal, hasn't he?
He's the reliable and competent.
Did you see the? Well, I'm sure you did the Haribo.
Yes.
Comment. I felt for him there because I could see, because she basically went, people used to like you and now they don't.
Yeah.
Say something likeable.
I eat lots of sugar.
Yeah.
I eat lard.
I eat tubs and tubs of lard.
I'm just larding.
People say, stop eating lard, Rishi, and they're quite surprised by how much lard
how in touch I am. That's
because
that's what ordinary people, and that's what I'm all about.
That's
lard.
Right.
But it's sort of a. It's almost agonising to watch, but it does. The funny thing about the book actually is that it does remind you of what, to an amazing extent, of what we've just been through. And the breaches. You're very funny about the breaches of the ministerial code. Suella was a code rattler, but then you say if you twang the ministerial code accidentally, then you haven't really broken it. But and Johnson's almost Christ-like stance on forgiveness. But it is funny how it's both funny and chilling, isn't it? Because I mean, those code breaches, when they're listed in that chapter, are it's an amazing inventory.
Yeah. It was also amazing when I was sort of going back and writing it, how much I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
Because so much, especially during with Boris Johnson, so much happened.
That's right.
It's hard to keep. It was hard. It's hard to keep up.
A sort of large list of
Owen. I thought, Owen Patterson. That was when they tried to completely change the way that politics is regulated.
Yeah,
and it didn't work, and they were furious.
What's your favourite era of the last 8 years of Tory government?
That's a very best of
favourite one.
Favourite track.
Terrible, isn't it? Because favourite also, what I bestow as the favourite is probably what inflicted the most misery on the country.
No. Well, I think we take that as read. So, what was your favourite?
Well, certainly, I think with Boris Johnson, there was just always the news. It was quite a ride. I felt like there was something happening every day.
Yes.
And it was great because it was great. I say that it was great that bad things kept happening, but during lockdown, because obviously there was nothing to do. You could work so quickly. Something would happen. You put something out in the afternoon. Yeah. And then something new would happen the next day.
What was the germination of it all?
Yeah.
How did you decide I'm going to do it? And then how quickly did it take off?
I trained as an actor, and I've been working as a stand-up for a couple of years. And before lockdown, I was about to actually go to America for 6 months in a comedy show of The Crown.
Oh, really?
Me and one other actor playing all the parts.
Oh, really?
And it was during Black Lives Matter, and Sadiq Khan posted on Twitter that he was going to take down a statue in I think it was in the Isle of Dogs because of its slave trader origins. Right. And the comments underneath were so hysterical. They were like, "You are ruining democracy and you are erasing history." So I thought, I put up a sketch the next day of a woman basically parroting all of those lines, and she said, "You're erasing history just like Stalin did, who incidentally I have a statue of in my garden." And I put it up, and it went viral, and a lot of people were telling me to take down my statue of Stalin. They were getting so cross.
So you knew you were onto something.
Yeah. So after that, I mean, that was a sort of, I started posting these videos regularly of a kind of Julie Hartley Brewer-esque or Carol Malone, someone who kind of likes to voice their opinions.
Plain speaking, I think.
Plain speaking.
Speaks their mind.
Yeah. And is completely unashamed if they contradict themselves from one moment to the next, which is what I always like about that. So I started posting those and kind of building up a following from then. And then I think I started posting as the MP about maybe 6 months after that or something like that.
Yeah. And what about the transition from doing the clips to actually doing a show?
Yeah.
Because it's not, there's not an obvious transition, what I mean is it's not certain that it's going to work on stage, but it does, right?
It does, and actually,
it's
going to be at Soho Theatre on the 4th and 5th of July.
4th and 5th of July, folks.
Is it?
Yeah. No, 3rd and 4th of July.
3rd and 4th of July.
Rosie, 3rd and 4th. Yeah, 5th would be.
I was going to say.
None of this is relevant.
You'd have to change the show completely from Tory government to Labour government.
The 4th is going to be a real barn burner, isn't it?
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Because
it'd be really fun.
Rosie will be very, very nervous. I mean, she should be at her count, really.
Very nervous. She should.
Actually, presumably there'll be a helicopter waiting outside to take her to account.
Yeah, she's just doing a brief hour at the Conservative Theatre of Soho.
Is she in a safe seat or is she fucked?
I don't know.
It's difficult to know, isn't it? Okay. I mean, we kind of wish her well, don't we? Because we want her to survive. We want her in the next Parliament.
I think she'll survive.
I think she'll be. She and Kemi Badenoch will be
the two.
The two. It'll be. Yeah, no, it's Tom Tugendhat, you. And
is he in a super?
Well,
safe
apparently
seat?
in these sort of Apocalypse Now polls, there are a few survivors as they go out onto the sort of bin fire that is Tory Britain. And I think Tom Tugendhat, Kemi Badenoch, and of course you are the ones who got through. The ones who got through.
We were saying in a previous podcast, like everyone remembers Portillo. But I mean, if things go like the polls are suggesting, there's going to be 40 Portillo moments. Yeah. It's going to be mad.
Yeah, it's. I think that's why there's been so many resignations. Surely, it's just that. I mean, I know it's not just, but I don't think they want the humiliation of having that.
Well, Jeremy Hunt trying to get out of standing again and being told, "No, you're Chancellor, mate. You have to. You have
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't. You really can't. If you're Chancellor of the Exchequer and promising that you've just turned a corner, you can't then say, "I will now be leaving politics."
Yeah.
You have to.
I didn't know he tried to leave though. That's
He
really funny.
and well, I mean, he's reasonably intelligent, I think, and I obviously saw what was coming about a week before everyone else did, and mooted that he might have had.
And they went no.
They went no. You're all the main major officers of state. Are set to lose their seat, according to this, with one exception, which is Cameron, because he's in the Lords.
Yeah.
Home Secretary, Prime Minister, Chancellor.
He's safe forever.
He's safe forever. As long as he's alive, he's safe.
Because I have a really stupid question to ask. If he's in as the House of Lords, and obviously he's no longer a Tory MP, does that mean Labour could make him their foreign secretary?
They could do.
They could do that. Yeah. They could. I
mean, they could make anyone foreign secretary.
They could do
anyone.
And
they will.
I mean, they'll be able to do, I think, what they like, won't they?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be Lammy, won't it? David Lammy.
It will be Lammy, but I mean, they'll be able to, and in fact, there'll be part of Cameron that will look at Labour and think,
Yeah. Well, at least they're vaguely competent.
No, but also, could I?
Would he jump from?
Well, he won't. But he won't.
Yeah. What will Cameron do next?
Shepherd's Hut.
Back to the Shepherd's Hut.
Yeah.
I mean, that what they'll all do in their sort of retirement period, apart from earning lots of money, I suppose. Although, will they? Will be amusing.
Yes.
Because they've got long retirements ahead of them.
Yeah, completely.
They're not. Bill Cash is 84, but the most of them are in their 50s or 60s. So Johnson is 60. He just turned 60. Yeah. So what's he going to do?
Carry on writing his little articles and posting strange videos, I guess.
I think he might get odder and odder, actually.
Yeah. I mean, his videos are already
They're very strange, aren't they?
Yeah.
I love the detail that he took a suit with him on his holiday, his second summer holiday, just in case he was called upon.
Have you seen the cover of his new book?
No.
So it was on Twitter this morning, and it's a weird photo where his his face is totally dark. It's like the dark side of the moon, and it's almost completely round. His face now. He's so fat, and and his hair is like this golden mop, like a sort of weird scarecrow halo. But it's the strange. It looks like Hannibal Lecter. I mean, it's so odd.
Do you think that's what they're going for? Is it trying to
make him
look
menacing? Get the menace. No. Is it called Unchained or is it?
It's called it's Unleashed.
Unleashed.
That's right.
Goodness. What happened to his Shakespeare book?
Well, he still owes it.
Yeah.
Still owes it.
That was why he was off.
Yes.
In the first week of the world plague, decided to plague, finish my book, tricky. And
but how awful to put off the plague for that and then not finish it yet.
I know. I mean,
tragic. It's a tragedy.
It's you could almost say it's a Shakespearean.
It's a Shakespearean tragedy. No, I'm sure he sees that as the main takeaway from the pandemic. Is he didn't get to finish his book, which is really rather selfish of us all, isn't it? With our needs for vaccines and things like that.
Anyway, bugger his book. Let's talk about your book.
More about this.
It's out now, isn't it?
It's out now.
It is. It's out from today.
Yeah.
Why we were right.
Just go and buy it, all right?
Yeah.
Because it's brilliant and it will make you laugh and it will also make you realise what is about to happen. Is absolutely right.
Buy a load and give them away to subscribers.
We should do that. Let's do that with New European.
Okay, let's see if we can do that.
It's such a good book for us. And
would you sign them if we
bought
loads and loads?
One of them.
Just for one.
If we bought a ton, right?
Yes.
Could we?
I will sign at 3.5. No, I will sign them. I will sign books.
This is because honestly, this is
marketing in real time.
This is marketing in real time, and you will laugh a lot, and you'll also understand how we got here and why what's about to happen is absolutely necessary. Whatever happens next.
Rosie, thank you so much for coming in.
Much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Please come again.